Thank you for having us today. We wanted to introduce ourselves, and thank you for that great introduction. My name is Chris Wilson. I'm the Learning and Development Designer for the Learning Innovations Department at Fox Valley Technical College. We specialize in creating e-learning, games, as well as AR, VR solutions for private industry and for our college. So this is Learning Innovations. This is Appleton, Wisconsin, where we're located. Our department has been around for about 20 years. So we have some history doing this. We're always looking for that next solution and that next option. So today we're going to talk a little bit about a MOOC that we created starting in 2014 called Basic Computer Skills. So before we give you guys a demonstration of the course, we're going to start with the history and an introduction of the project to give you a little background and to give you a little feel for why it was needed. So this was in 2013, 2014, when we were coming out of the recession. And the US government did some research and found that 8 in 10 middle skill jobs require digital skills, that these jobs are growing, and that their expected digital literacy for what they thought people had was much lower than what they actually had planned for. So there was a need to create a fundamental basic computer skills course that would serve people who need these skills. And so they needed a free course that could teach people how to fill out an online job application, put together a resume and a cover letter, use Word, use email, save and retrieve files. What they were finding was that a lot of people had a lot of knowledge about their smartphones, right? They could take a picture, they could send a text message, but ask them to do anything on the computer, and they were really struggling. And our college found the same challenges. We had students who were coming in who were really familiar with their smartphone and had no idea how to do a lot of these skills that most of us just take for granted. And so when these new jobs were coming out after the end of the recession, there was a huge need to get everybody on the same level playing field. So this was kind of where we started from. We started from an understanding that people needed basic computer skills, there weren't a lot of resources out there, and we needed to get them the skills. So our target markets and our target audience was actually really broad, right? So we have students who are coming in from high school who need skills. We have adults and students who may have worked in manufacturing jobs that were no longer there, that needed new skills in order to be competitive and to find that next job. We had people who were in jails and prisons who wanted skills so that when they came out, they could find a job. Displaced workers, veterans, as well as all adults returning to the workforce. The funding, so this project was paid for with a US Department of Labor Trace Adjustment Act Community College and Career Training Grant Program. We just called it TACT because that was way too much to actually talk about on a daily basis. So the only stipulation was that it had to provide these skills and it had to be published as an open educational resource so that everyone could use it, everyone could share it, distribute it. There's no copyright, there's no intention to sell it for money, it's just available for anyone who needs to use it. So that was our starting point. A lot of not incredibly specific parameters, a lot of understanding of what that need was, but not a lot of guidelines for how we were going to get this done. So our team actually created a basic computer skills MOOC. It had 9 modules. These are the modules. Each module has 4 individual sections. We start really basic, right? So we start with using computers. And then we go all the way up. And at the very end, we're talking about how to manage personal data. When we put the course together, it was written for between a 6th to 8th grade reading level, so to keep it easy to understand, easy to follow along with. We used a lot of Gagne's instructional design theory, so a lot of presenting information, giving users a chance to practice, giving them more information, and then testing them at the end, but always giving them feedback on what they were doing wrong, what they needed to do better, and letting them practice. So that was the real point of creating this, was to give people a safe place to practice the content and really get to master it. So this is an overview of the course. There are 9 modules on WSCA Online, which is the website that our department has run for the past 20 years. There are 2 additional modules in WIDS, which is the Wisconsin system. Those just include teaching notes, checklists. The system can be used online and offline. We found that out about halfway through the project, that there was a need for people who have slow internet, who may be in rural parts of Wisconsin or across the country that needed an offline version of the course, or for people who were in jails and prisons where there isn't internet access. So we had to change some things around. The content can be used independently in the classroom or in a hybrid situation. So we'll talk about it later, but we have job centers that are using it independently with people who are looking for work. Some of the tech schools are using it as a pre-test or a post-test, as well as using it in their classrooms, or it can be actually used in a hybrid situation where you have an instructor teaching the material and then using this to let them practice and work on it. It's also SCORM compatible, so they can download it and put it into any LMS system. How we did it. So our team was made of 1 instructional designer, a learning and development designer, and an editor and a writer, which is me, 4 multimedia developers, and 4 software engineers. We also relied heavily on our faculty and friends from other Wisconsin technical colleges. So we had 6 instructors and content experts who helped us put together content and review it. 1 project coordinator and 1 instructional designer who worked from the state level with us when we put this content together. So with that, I will turn it over to Bonnie, who will actually show you how to access it and how we use it.
All right, so on to the MOOC. What I'm going to do is go to www.wisc-online.com. You could do the same when we're done talking, and check out the course for yourself. Okay, so here we are at wisconline.com. I'm going to go to courses. We'll talk about this agricultural, food, natural resources section in a minute, but what we're interested in right now is the basic computer skills course. I'll go ahead and say start. And this is what the MOOC looks like when you get started. So you can see from the very top, we talked just a little bit about pre-test. So you or your students can go ahead and take a pre-test to see where you lie in the 9 modules that we have online. The 9 modules that you're seeing here, we start off really basic using computing devices. So some people that we ran into as we were testing the course, they had never picked up a mouse. They didn't know what to do with a mouse, what the buttons did, anything like that. So if you run into students like that or have somebody in your life that fits, you want to go ahead and start with the using computing devices. You can see as we scroll down, through the courses, we get a little bit more difficult navigating an operating system, using a keyboard effectively, word processing, email functions, file management, the internet, social media, and then finally managing personal data. I know I can use help with this. Most people can use help with this. This is why it's our most difficult course at this point. So you will notice that through each of these, we call these modules, we do have learning activities. So we have between 2 and 5 learning activities for each of the modules. And then at the end, we have a test for each of the individual modules. So for managing personal data, we have managing personal data test. We do have a time frame associated with each of these, an estimated time frame. It's going to vary depending on the reading level of the person that's taking the test, but this is our estimate. And then if we go back up to the top of the screen, we can see that we have a completion. So if I go ahead and log in, and this can be any email, we're not going to track you or send anything to you. It's just for purposes of managing the course and keeping track of how far you've gone in your course. Okay, and mine is a little bit different because I have administrative rights. I'm just going to jump back into the course. And now you can see that our completion has a check mark for the ones that I have completed. So I've completed the navigation, I've completed the pretest for modules 1 through 3. I have not done them for 4 through 6 or 7 through 9, so those are open. And then if we go down to the learning portion, so this using computing devices, you can see that I have a badge for each of the activities as well as the test. You can print these out, you can save these in a backpack if you like. And then we also have one at the module level. And then if you're very diligent and you complete all of the courses, you can also get a badge for that complete MOOC activity completion. This is being used in some cases as a job certification, thank you. So when people have completed this, they are certified to accept a job in the computer field at this level. All right, so let's take a look at some content now. I'm going to start very basic at use the mouse.
After completing this learning activity, you will be able to demonstrate mouse-related.
So each of the activities have audio. I'm just silencing it right now. I'll turn it back on in a second just to let you know what's all going on here. So we have the menu on the left-hand side. We also have the narration, which matches up to exactly what you're hearing on screen. So if you prefer to read it, you can do that as well. We have additional resources if you want to use this offline. The whole course is printed out as well as the glossary and any additional aids that are needed for this individual course. We have a glossary for each of the modules. And then the standard player functions on the bottom. So audio, play and pause, you can restart, and then back and next.